All right, so a couple of quick announcements. Saturday clinic. We need to be in our seats by 8:30. So try to get there no later than 8. Have an email come out in the morning, parking details, directions. There's about 270 slots in the parking lot next to the convention center. There's a parking garage across the street, which is $10 for the day, and then street parking is free in that area on Saturdays. So there are some street parking spots there as well. So you just kind of fit parking lunch wise. So lunch break will be from 11 to 12:30. A lot of restaurants, if you're going to go in a group, probably would call, make a reservation type deal. But there's a good number of restaurants within walking distance from that place. Other than that, we'll have about 400 people there total across the state. So looking forward to that. Got a lot of speakers lined up and everything. One of the guest speakers did request that you bring something small that reminds you of officiating. So I don't know, flag, whistle, whatever it is, your picture, something like that. But did ask you to bring something like that for one of the guest speakers. But yeah, so once I get through Saturday, then we'll turn our focus to the test. Um, Details on that. That the practice exam's been out there. The two 15-question examples have been on an arbiter, so those are out there because we're gonna house our test in arbiter, and then there'll be a second 50-question practice exam that comes out um, on the 15th of this month. So plenty for me. Well, I didn't write these questions, but yes, I put the exam together. Yeah, so it'll be in one of the emails from me. Yes. Practice. Practice, yes. For the rookies on the 21st, we're gonna we on that Monday, y'all will meet at Riverland Hills Baptist Church with everybody else in a separate room. If you want to bring a computer, you can. Otherwise, you can bring a piece of paper, and we're gonna go through the certification exam with y'all, give you the answers. All right. For the veterans, if you're on attempt number 4, you have not made it 70%, please come to Riverland Hills Baptist Church on the 21st to sit there to get the answers. Okay, I'm not going to send the answers out, but the certification name was a little difficult for new officials. Riverland Hills Baptist, you're fine, you passed. Um, but yeah, but yeah, so on the 21st, that Monday, we'll sit down with the rookies in a separate room at the church and give y'all the answers. And like you said, if you want to bring a laptop with you, take it then. That way it's done, or you can go home and take it after you get the answers. Um, but yeah, but more to come on that. Once I get through Saturday, then we'll have a lot more information coming out because we got Saturday, and then in 2 weeks we've got our rating exam, and then less than 2 weeks after that we got scrimmages. And we just looked at the scrimmages. There's only like right now, I only have 4 or 5 on that first day, the 7th, but I got a lot of schools that are missing. So I'm going to reach out to the coaches again starting on Monday to try to get more scrimmages in. I think the early school start is kind of messing up some of their schedules. Because like this district here goes back to school August 4th, that Monday. Yeah. Yeah, one of them goes back on the 11th, I think. Well, maybe Richmond 1 or Richmond 2. One of them goes back on the 11th. One goes back on the 4th. So everybody should be in school by the 11th. And like you said, so like my kids are like, they thought they had 4th of July. They still had 6 weeks. No, you got like 3 weeks, kiddos. We're going back to school shopping. So, but yeah, so it's gonna be here soon. Any questions about what's coming up? No. Okay. The 26th, yeah, at Midlands Tech, and then we will do our lunch at Midland, our preseason meal at Midlands Tech right after the clinic. Yes, airport campus. There we are full, so there were 130 seats, and we have 130 seats signed up between us and a few from other districts. I mean, I'm bringing like 90, 95. So yeah, so that's where we're at Midlands Tech. We should be done by 11:30 with the exam on that Saturday. Um, right now, I think check-in will start around 9. There will be like a 15-20 minute Zoom call across the state with Gary to do like some of the annual business meeting stuff. And then we'll take the exam, and you'll vote for the president, vice president, secretary on the exam. And I'll explain all that later and give you my opinion on who to vote for. Yeah. All right. The other thing is blocks. Danny's itching. All right. Danny's itching. He's got sub varsity schedules in there, and he sees sub varsity schedules, and he sees games with no officials. He wants to put officials to the game. All right. So get your blocks done. So go ahead and get your blocks. We picked up Bakesburg, I think it was. I think we picked up Bakesburg. Yeah. So, and then like Chapin's does not have a B team this year. I don't know. I have to go back and check. Yeah. Um, yeah. So Chapin didn't have a B team. Westwood doesn't have a B team. So that's interesting. But yeah, so get your blocks in, block the teams, block your days, and block other officials if you need to. Do we bring your own laptops? You can for the rating exam. Yeah, you can bring your own laptop. Because if you have a laptop that you can bring to the rating exam, bring it. Because if you're like me, your passwords are autofill, right? Yeah. So if you don't know what your arbiter password is, then you better write it down if you're going to use a computer there at Midlands Tech. Yeah. Yeah. So either bring your own computer, or either bring your own iPad or laptop. Can't use your phone, but laptop or iPad or Chromebook or Microsoft Edge or whatever. But if you're going to use the computer there, write down your Alberta password and bring it with you. All right. Because that's going to be a problem. Yeah. 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 All right. So if there's no other questions or comments, let's hit this definitions and then I can turn it over to Dan for Rule 8. James, do I need to make you a co-host so you can see everybody, or can you see them? Okay. 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 All right. Rico's not here today. He got filmed for WIS for the Friday Night Blitz. When they do the little intro and everything, Rico's gonna be the official on the little intro. So we've moved up from Dennis being starring role on local TV to Rico. So that should help recruiting.
Garrett,
Go.
I have a code set up on my phone where I sign in the arbiter and the arbiter sends me a code where I get on.
Yep.
So would I be able to use that on my computer on the computer
there? So Arthur, that code, if you log in on the arbiter from any computer, it's going to have 2-factor verification. They're going to send you that code.
Okay.
Yeah. So
okay.
Right, if you're gonna use a device there, then when you log in, it'll send you a text message to your phone to give you that code. You'll type the code in, then you can log in on a computer. All right.
Okay. Okay. Thanks.
Sure. It'd be interesting. All right. July 10th. Player designations. So when I was learning the rule book, I would always kind of like skip over this little portion because I figured I knew it. And then when I actually started to learn the rules, I realized I didn't really know what all these terms meant. And they're very important. So a player is one of 22 who is designated to start either half of the game or who subsequently replaces another player. So at any one point, there should only be 22 players on the field. Right, max. No more than that. Okay. A player continues to be a player until, all right, and this until is very important. A substitute enters the field and indicates to that player that he's replaced, or when a substitute otherwise becomes a player. So you have a team will have 11 players max on the field, and everybody else is considered a non-player. All right, so that's important there. A player of A is A1, and teammates are A2 and A3. Abbreviations are B for a player of B, K1 for a player of the kickers, and R1 for receivers. And this is important because this is how the rule book is, and more personally, how we kind of question and think, right? A and B, K and R. A and B are determined at the snap, right? K and R are determined when the ball is kicked. Okay. A is the team that has possession at the start of the down, but A is not always the team that's in possession at the end of the down. Okay. On the field, we replace A and B with Dutch Fork and River Bluff. So if something really confusing happens, you might say, white and green, or you might I just use the names. And I was like, the defense did this. And I'm like, okay, so the defense was the team without the ball. Well, which team is that? And I'll actually just use the school names. That's how I know the difference between them, because I don't want to get confused. Because it's very easy to get turned around if you have a lot of things happen during a play. A back is any A player who has no part of his body breaking the plane of an imaginary line drawn parallel to the line of scrimmage through the waist of the nearest the nearest teammate who is legally on the line, except the player under the snapper who's also considered a back. It's a lot of words, but basically trying to define who a back is. But to know who a back is, you have to know who a lineman is. We'll come to that definition in a minute. So it's like player and non-player are paired together, lineman and back are paired together, and you have to know both definitions to be able to understand what it means. An offensive blocker is a player who is blocking or in position to block by being between the potential tackler and the runner. A captain of a team is a player designated to represent his team during the pregame and overtime coin toss. 4 captains in uniform on the field. All right. So senior night, they want to line them up on the numbers. We're not supposed to let them do it. Okay. If you've got 4 and you've got a kid who's not in uniform, he's injured, he can come out there. Right. He can come out there. But no more than 4. Okay. Penalty decisions following a foul, if designated by the head coach, is in 1-4-4. So I don't go to a 16-year-old kid to determine what the penalty decision is going to be. All right. I go to the head coach or the head coach designee.
That saying that captain, if he's designated by the head coach, can make decisions. Is that what that's?
Yeah.
That,
That's what that's saying. Yeah. So when you ask the captains so when we say who are your captains, and then we say who's your penalty designee,
right?
The coach could say number 7.
Okay.
And if it's number 7, that's who we got to go to. But no coach is going to say that. No coach is going to say that.
Okay.
All right. Yeah.
I never gave him an option. So
Yeah.
You're calling your
Yeah. Ball placement on a try, a kickoff, after a safety, after a fair catch, or an awarded fair catch, after a touchback, or to start of overtime. So these are important things to remember, right? We got, and you will have a quarterback come and tell you, I want the ball on the left hash, or I want it on the right hash. And you have to know when you can and can't give him that. All right. A disqualified player is a player barred from further participation in a game. A holder is a player who controls the ball on the ground or on a kicking tee. So nothing about his knee, right? It says you have to control it on the ground or a kicking tee. Nope. Nope. Player designations continued. A kicker is any player who legally punts, drop kicks, or place kicks. He becomes a kicker when he makes contact with the ball. So it doesn't matter if he's 5'2" and he has a different colored shoe on, right? He's not the kicker. He's only a kicker when he does what? Intentionally contacts the ball with his lower leg, or knee, or foot. Okay, and for the 1A, people that go to 1A games, you'll see some knee kicks. All right, you'll see some kicks that are from the knee. All right. He continues to be a kicker until he has had reasonable opportunity to regain his balance, or until after a free kick he has advanced 5 yards beyond his free kick line, or the kick has touched the ground or any other player. So in a free kick, who's responsible for the kicker? The umpire. All right. So don't forget about him. All right. He's still protected until those things are met. Okay. A lineman. So remember we mentioned what a back is, right? Well, this back is paired with lineman. So a lineman is any A player who is facing his opponent's goal line, the line of his shoulders approximately parallel thereto, and with his head or foot breaking an imaginary plane drawn parallel to the line of scrimmage through the waist of the snapper when the ball is snapped. So who sets the line first? The snapper, right? You got to have him set, and then you get your lineman set, and then from there you can know who your backs are. But it has to go in that order. So if the receiver comes out there wide to you, Jonathan, and he puts his hand back, he's on the line of scrimmage, are you going to have him off the line? No, no. It's not our responsibility to coach them. We can guide them, and we can say, hey, this is going to be on the line of scrimmage. You put your foot down, this is on. But you can't move them. Because what happens if you tell that kid, hey, you got to move back? What is going to happen when you say that? They're going to snap the ball. There's going to be a guy in motion, and they're going to snap the ball. And everybody can see that, right? Everybody can see that. So don't coach them, but just kind of help. You can guide them, but not coach them. But again, you have to have the snapper first, then you get your lineman, and then you can know who your backs are. A non-player is a coach, athletic trainer, other attendant, substitute, or replace player who does not participate by touching the ball, hindering an opponent, or influencing the play. So remember, we said there's 11 players. Max is 11, and then everybody else should be non-players. Now, if you get more than 11 during the down, we got a problem, right? We got a problem. Can you play with less than 11? Yes. Yes. You can't start it with less than 11, but you can play with less than 11. A passer is a player who throws a legal forward pass. He continues to be a passer until the legal forward pass ends or until he moves to participate in the play. So again, it doesn't matter if he's the prima donna quarterback who is calling the signals. What matters is when he throws the pass. So he takes a snap, and if he doesn't throw it and he's running around back there, is he defenseless? No, he's not. He can be hit just like anybody else can, right? All right. So he only becomes a passer when he throws a legal forward pass. So if I throw an illegal forward pass, am I protected under the passer definition? No, I'm not. Okay, I'm not. A replaced player is one who's been notified by a substitute that he is to leave the field. A player is also replaced when an entering substitute becomes a player. So if I come out and say, James, you're coming out, when I say, James, you're coming out, he has now become what? A replaced player. Replaced player. He's gone from player to replaced player. I've gone from substitute to player. Okay. And how long does James have to get off the field? To start to get off the field, right? Start to get off the field is 3 seconds. So if we're in the huddle and I'm slow and we're breaking the huddle and I say, hey, James, you're going out. So James starts to come out and we've broken the huddle. Is that a foul? No, no. Does everybody think it's a foul? Yes, but it's not a foul. Not a foul. He's got 3 seconds to start to leave the field. A runner is a player who is in possession of a live ball or simulating possession of a live ball, right? So how many players will have possession of the ball at any one point during the down? One. You could have somebody simulating possession. That would be a second player who could possibly consider to be a runner. But that's only for a brief moment in time, right? But you're only going to have one runner at any one point. So if I take the snap, am I the runner or a passer? I'm a runner. Yeah. A snapper is the player who's facing his opponent's goal line with his shoulders approximately parallel thereto and who snaps the ball. Okay, pretty straightforward, right? In a scrimmage kick formation, the snapper remains a snapper until he's had a reasonable opportunity to regain his balance and protect himself, or until he blocks or moves otherwise participates in the play. And so that's where we get in scrimmage kick formation and protect the snapper from. But that's the kid that's going to snap the ball. Okay, so remember, snapper gets set first. Because once the snapper puts his hands on the ball, there's a lot of other things that happen there at that point, right? A lot of other things that come into play. And then you get snapper, you get your lineman, and then you get, so is the snapper a lineman? Is he a lineman? Yes. Sort of. Because a lineman is any A player who's facing his opponent's goal line with his waist parallel to the snapper. So the definition differentiates the two. So when you look at a legal snap, if I snap the ball and I hit myself in the butt, is the ball still alive? Yes. If Demery is my guard, I snap the ball and it hits Demery first. Is that a legal snap? No. So don't make the mistake of the snapper messes up the snap, hits himself, and blow that dead. You understand what I'm saying? See the difference? Yeah. Like I said, these definitions, I blew these off for a lot of years, and now I'm like, wait a minute, they're kind of important. A substitute is a team player who may replace a player or fill a player vacancy. A substitute becomes a player when he enters the field and, okay, the and is very important, right? Communicates with a teammate or a game official, enters the huddle, is positioned in a formation, or participates in the play. So there's a lot of things you can do to become a player. An entering substitute is not considered to be a player for encroachment restrictions until he is on his team side of the neutral zone. All right. A team member entering the field to fill a player vacancy remains a substitute until he is on his team side of the neutral zone. All right. So I can come in, but I got to get on my side before I can be considered guilty of encroachment, basically. Right. Oh, look, Rico's already gone to Hollywood and she's coming to the meeting 24 minutes late. We're on Rico time. A defensive player is a player who, because of his physical position and focus of concentration, is especially vulnerable to injury. A player is no longer defenseless once the player's physical position and focus of concentration no longer makes the player especially vulnerable to injury. A player who initiates contact against a defenseless player is responsible for making legal contact. When in question, a player is defenseless. So can I contact a defenseless player? Yes, but it has to be done so legally. All right, it has to be done so legally. So they can still be hit, but there's certain requirements. And if I contact a defensive player with open hands above the waist from the front of the side, can I ever be wrong? No, because I use open hands, right? All right, so just remember that. Yep. Examples of defensive players include, but are not limited to, a passer. We already talked about what a passer was, right? A receiver attempting to catch a pass who has not had time to clearly become a runner. The intended receiver of a pass in the action during and immediately following an interception or potential interception. All right. They moved D to 943. And so that was an editorial change. And that goes to how to legally contact a receiver or potential receiver. Making a result of making a play on the ball, initiate with open hands, or wrap your arms up around like you're making a tackle. Okay. But that got moved to Rule 9. A runner already in the grasp of a tackler and whose forward progress has been stopped. He's defenseless, right? A kickoff or punt returner attempting to catch or recover a kick, or one who has completed a catch or recovery has not had time to protect himself, or who has not clearly become a runner. So there's a time frame in there, right? Of where I can catch or recover, but I'm still defenseless. All right. Second or two, maybe at the most. But I'm catching the ball, but I haven't had time to protect myself yet. Okay. So that's what that means. So we've all seen this, right? The punt return, right? Punt return gets it and gets hit almost at the same time. And so you have to make a decision as an official. Was he defenseless or was he a runner? And then you have to decide, okay, he's defenseless. Was the contact legal or not? All right. And that's just repetition, seeing the plays. A player on the ground, including a runner who's obviously given himself up and is sliding feet first. So you have to be what to be considered defenseless if you're going to slide? You have to be on the ground. There, you need to be on the ground, right? A player obviously out of the play or not in the immediate vicinity of a runner. So when do we see this, right? Long run down the sideline, 30 yards behind the play. Somebody says something about somebody's mother, so they're going to take a shot at him, right? All right, that's when we're going to see it. And so what do the trailing officials have to do? Keep your head on a swivel and look for that stuff, right? Look for that stuff. A player who receives a blindside block with forceful contact not initiated with open hands. So, are all blindside blocks illegal? No, they can be legal if they're initiated with open hands. But if you commit a blindside block without open hands, then that player is considered defenseless. Okay. Plays for penalty enforcement. A loose ball play is action during a free kick or scrimmage kick, other than a PSK foul. Okay. A legal forward pass, a backward pass, including the snap, an illegal kick or fumble made by A from in or behind the neutral zone prior to a change of team possession. The runs which precede such legal or illegal kick, legal forward pass, backward pass, or fumble. So what this means is I take the snap, and while I'm running around back there, Dave holds somebody so they don't hit me, and then I throw a pass. Did Dave's hold occur during a loose ball play? Yes, because it preceded me throwing a legal forward pass. Right? I take the snap. I'm running around back there. Dave holds, but not very well. He still hits me, and I fumble. That's a fumble by A behind the line of scrimmage prior to a change of possession. So did Dave's hold occur during a loose ball play? Yes, it did. Yes. Okay. All right. Monday, we'll dig more into this. All right. A running play is any action not included in Article 1, including the related run, as in 241(9)(b). All right. So we'll touch on that later. But basically, you have two types of plays, right? We have loose ball play and we have running play. So if it's not one of those four things for a loose ball play, it's a running play. And this is for penalty enforcement. So if you're going to understand penalty enforcement, you got to know this. Okay? Last thing, the fundamental for the week. Blocking. Blocking by either team is permissible unless it's kick catch interference, pass interference, a personal foul, or an illegal, let's just say illegal block. Illegal block. So we forget about this, but B can block too, right? Yeah. A can block, B can block, K can block, R can block. Anybody can block. And it's legal, it's permissible, unless it's one of those four things. Right? Any questions about the definitions and fundamentals? Yes. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. So interestingly enough, they are not mentioned in the rule book as defensive players, but they are. If you go back to, so these are examples, but they did not list kicker and snapper in there. But if you go back to the definition of what a defensive player is, they're going to fall under there because their physical position and focus is especially vulnerable to injury. So the snappers, he's defenseless in a scrimmage kick formation because of his focus of snapping it back there, right? He's not considered defenseless on first down in a shotgun snap. Okay, he's just not. And then for the kicker, I don't know why they don't list him because he's obviously defenseless when he kicks the ball. So, but because of his physical position and focus of concentration. All right. Yep. So let's go find it. So there's nothing in here about the quality of the kick, right? It's only he becomes a kicker when his knee, lower leg, or foot makes contact with the ball, right? So when he legally kicks the ball, he now becomes a kicker, and it continues to be a kicker until he has a reasonable opportunity to regain his balance. So it doesn't matter what happens to the kick. It's when does he regain his balance? So for me, when does he have both feet squarely back on the ground? Okay. And he's in position to protect himself, basically. Okay. If he still has one foot in the air or is coming down, he can't protect himself yet. If he just if as my foot's touching the ground, both feet are touching, I get hit really hard, I haven't had a chance to protect myself yet. So it's when does he have that opportunity to protect himself, basically, is what that means. All right. Good question. Any other questions before I turn it over to them?
Player in position to catch a pump. You say he's no longer defenseless when he
Protect himself. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So basically, yeah. When you deem that he can protect himself, that's when he's transitioned to a runner. Yeah. Because a runner, why aren't they defenseless? Because they're running, but they have some agency, right? You know, they can lower a shoulder, they can do something to deliver a blow to whoever's trying to tackle them. If I'm up here and I'm catching it and I've got it in my arms like this, but I'm still like this, am I in any sort of position? No, I'm not. But as soon as I get it and I get it tucked, and now I can start moving around using my shoulders, using my legs, then that's when that transition takes place. So it's just like a receiver. If I'm laid out and I'm jump up in the air and I touch down inbounds with a foot and I still have it, maintain possession, I may have completed the catch, but I'm still opened up, right? My entire body's opened up. So I'm defenseless. But when I come down and I can bring my arms down, now I can have agency to protect myself, then I become a runner. That makes sense? Am I good? All right. All right, gentlemen. Oh, I guess we'll cut the lights on for y'all. It's getting dark out here. Yeah, it's getting dark. It's getting dark in here. All right. For those on Zoom, this will end the Zoom call for today. Well, we don't play in the rain, so I mean,